Good Monday morning, a little bit after 9 o'clock here on the East Coast, and we have a weather alert day. Thanks for joining us for this edition of the Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Craig Moeller, along with meteorologist Cheryl Nelson.
Yeah.
Good to have you in this morning.
Nice to be here, Craig. I've been tracking some traffic issues on the roadways and also putting my weather hat on, too, from time to time.
Yeah, we've been talking some weather across northern parts of Virginia. You were saying earlier, a lot of snow across northern parts of the Commonwealth.
Oh, my gosh. We're talking in excess of 6 inches of snow in northern Virginia. Major issues on I-95 and the D.C. Beltway. Oh, my gosh. I've seen all kinds of crashes.
Yeah, we were looking at a truck had been jackknifed, and you kept saying, why are they out on the roads?
Yes, stay home up there. But around here, I know folks are going, oh, man, because we've seen that transition over to rain.
Yeah, we're already getting the rain that has knocked down some of the snow that we've seen overnight. I know you want to go and check in on the traffic stuff, so we're going to hear more from Cheryl in a moment.
Yes.
But I want to break down the weather alert day. So let's take this graphic full, and I'll go ahead and explain what we're looking at. Today and tonight, we have our weather alert day. That's the when, okay? And you might be wondering, Craig, already we're seeing this change to rain. It's not that bad out there. No, not across most of the metro area for now, but that's going to change up because later this evening, we're going to see another shot at wintry mix and maybe some snowbursts with additional accumulations. And I think the greater concern will be later this evening and overnight when temperatures plummet. We have the potential for flash freezing, and I think there could be some more travel issues tomorrow. So the big thing I really want to encourage you to do is to monitor the weather forecast. Stay up to date with it. You can do it with our 13 News Now mobile app on the go with your cell phones. And of course, you're streaming us right here on the 13 News Now Plus app, on YouTube, all the different places that we put out this forecast information. We want you to be able to access it. So we're going to take a look at the timing of the impacts. Again, early this morning, we had snow and a mix. We'll talk about snow totals that we've seen so far and what else is coming. You definitely want to stay tuned for that. But we are really seeing this wintry mix transition now to showers from most of the area. I was just looking outside the studios here in Norfolk, the downtown area, and it's just wet outside our windows. So the rain is occurring. We're going to see mainly a cold rain late morning into the afternoon, maybe some breaks in the action as well. But as we get into the evening, we have to look for wraparound snow showers. That will be the concern with some bursts of snow and then anything left over on the roads in terms of anything snowy, slushy, or even wet as temperatures quickly drop from the 30s into the upper 20s, we're going to see that potential for black ice. Now, early this morning, the issue was the snow. We've had crews out in the field, and Jeremiah Beatty standing by now up in Gloucester. Jeremiah, let's check in with her to find out how things are looking out there right now. Jeremiah, what do you know?
Good morning. Yes, as you can see behind me, it's a winter wonderland out here in Gloucester County. There's still blankets of snow on the ground. But the good thing is, though, while the snow is covering the greenery in front of businesses and homes, no ice appears to be impacting commuters this morning. Now, public works crews across Hampton roads worked throughout the weekend to treat roads with salt and brine. On Sunday, public works officials with Newport-News spent the day treating bridges, overpasses, and main roads throughout the city. I caught up with some commuters this morning who tell me their experience waking up to snow.
Well, I was wondering whether I should get in my car and drive. And I was surprised that the roads weren't as icy as I thought they were going to be.
I was kind of nice seeing it. We've been prepared for it, talking about it through the company at home, watching the weather and everything like that.
Now, with all the snow and ice expected today and tomorrow, experts advise people to ensure their car is weatherized. That means checking your tire pressure, car battery, and changing outdated windshields. Again, for those bracing through the winter conditions, you just want to take your time. There could still be patches of snow and ice on the roadways.
Jeremiah, I love the coverage up there. I see snow still on the ground where you are. With the transition, are you seeing a little more rain in the mix now? And is that knocking down the snow that you see out there?
Yes, Craig. The snow is still coming down steadily. That's been the case since we've been out here, since 3:30 this morning. So that's something that continues to come down in a steady stream, which is also adding to some of the conditions that we're seeing with the blankets of snow on the ground. So I will say that has been consistent since we've been in Gloucester County.
All right, thank you so much. Really appreciate the report, Jeremiah. She's out there continuing with our coverage. As we take a look right now across the region, we are seeing more of a transition to rain. And as we head through 10, 11, 12 o'clock, it's going to be very likely we see the rain as temperatures climb through the low to mid 40s. As we get into the afternoon, we'll reach a daytime high of about 45, maybe 46 degrees. So while Jeremiah is still reporting some snow coming down up there, Middle Peninsula, Northern Neck, those are the last areas to transition. Many areas are seeing the rain. And as we look forward, we're going to see good chances for rain later this morning through the early afternoon, and then a little bit of a break. I was mentioning this during 13 News Now Daybreak. If you have something you need to do, you need to get out and maybe run some errands. You've got to go to the grocery store or pick up some medication from the drugstore, something like that. Hopefully, we will have a break. Again, I'll really encourage you to stay tuned to 13 News Now. We'll have updates and check our radar, whether it's at 13newsnow.com or on our mobile apps. You want to get a look at the radar, as we should have at least some areas that are receiving drier weather late afternoon. Now, into the evening, another chance for precipitation, and this is going to be on the backside of the system. Likely it is going to be snow or mixing snow kind of coming down in bursts. Some additional accumulation possible during the evening, and then overnight we're going to see it drying out but turning much, much colder. After that, big chill coming in for tomorrow. So we'll take a quick look here at the snow drought. Officially, it is over. It's lasted 1,072 days as we came just before midnight, between 11 and midnight last night at the airport. Officially, we had 1/10 of an inch of snow, and that's all it took to bring this snow drought to an end. Think about it. The last time it snowed at the airport in Norfolk was January 29th of 2022. It's been a long time. Second longest snow drought on record for Norfolk. All right, somebody that's been in the snow and seeing a lot of it throughout the morning has been Taylor Stephenson. She's been out in the SUV checking things out around Williamsburg, and I know it has been a snowy morning up there. Official reports at Williamsburg around 2.5 inches. I believe Taylor's standing by and ready to go. I'd love to hear from her and see what she's looking at right now out there. Taylor?
Well, good morning, Craig. Yes, we've been out here on the peninsula all morning. We've been tracking the snow here in the peninsula around Williamsburg. We're actually now closer to Croker. That's a little bit in between West Point and Williamsburg. And why I mention that is because we're in that sweet spot right now of that trifecta of transitioning from sleet to snow to some wet snow just to our north. Now, right now, across our roads, we are seeing just a rain at this point. A lot of that snow still being stuck to those plants, as you see on the outskirts of those roads. Not seeing as much slush as we had earlier, but our concern is that we get this rain and possibly, like you said, bursts of snow and mixed precipitation later tonight, and that could refreeze overnight as temperatures plummet. Now, what I'm very glad to say is that while we've been on the roads, we haven't seen any accidents. We haven't seen anybody get stranded because, again, conditions are just not favorable for that at this moment up here on the peninsula. And people who have been on the roads have been taking it very slow and very safely. So that's the good news. Now, here in Williamsburg, we have seen that snow, like Craig said, anywhere from about 1 to 3 inches of snow. We were on the college, on the campus of the College of William and Mary, and we saw snowmen that were built overnight. So there's enough snow to really pack that together, get some snowballs and some snowmen and snowwomen going, but not a blizzard by any means up here on the peninsula, Craig.
Thanks so much. We may be checking back with Taylor a little bit later on as well. We are seeing more of a transition at this point from the snow that we saw earlier to the rain. I'm going to stop the radar loop here and show you how that rain is now extending up through Gloucester and Matthews. You can see over to the southern part of the eastern shore, so Northampton County seeing more rain. You might still see a little bit of mix in with that rain here and there. That's certainly a possibility, especially where we see some of those brighter returns. Sometimes that's indicative of some ice pellets that are still kind of falling within that precip. Out towards Richmond and Petersburg, down through Emporia, still some mixing going on there, but the snow continues from the northern parts of the eastern shore, Accomack, across Tappahannock and up towards D.C. That's where we have the winter storm warning. Now, we got some snow here, and I'm going to show you some of the storm reports. Let me go ahead and put those up so you can take a look at some of the snowfalls reported here locally. And I'm just doing this on the fly, and we'll do that. Why not? This is kind of fun. So as we take a look at some of our storm reports, you'll notice Norview only about 1/10 of an inch. Very minor amounts. That's in Norfolk. As we take a look up on the eastern shore, up in Accomack County, about 1 inch around Modesttown. You head over to the northern neck, and the snowfall 1.5 inches right there. That is to the east of Tappahannock. We can show you some of the areas up in the peninsula where we got a little bit more, like Fort Eustis. 1.5 inches. Parts of Williamsburg saw 2.5 or more. Williamsburg Airport picking up about 1.5 inches, but there were some heavier amounts there. Lightfoot picking up 3 inches. So you get up there just to the northwest of the Williamsburg area. We've also had just a great time with our daybreakers, our 13 News Now daybreakers, and the Facebook page, some folks posting some pictures of snowfall from their areas, and we can take a look at a few of those. Again, you can see it's the elevated surfaces. I noticed it, for instance, in my place on the bushes. We saw a little bit of that certainly on the cars, but you can see decks and railings, the trees picking up some of that as well. So again, it was one of those mornings where it was beautiful for those that got it. For those that did not get it, you might be a little disappointed, but don't lose hope, because we certainly have the potential for additional snowfall coming up later this evening with the wraparound moisture on the backside. Now, we're going to take a closer look at some other parts of Virginia that also saw the snow, but before we do that, I want to get a check on the roads. Cheryl Nelson has been in with us covering the traffic this morning and looking at some of the impacts. Cheryl, you mentioned Northern Virginia really dealing with it, but we've also seen a few slick spots here in Hampton Roads as well.
Yeah, for sure, Craig. Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. And for now, as Craig mentioned, we are dealing with mainly liquid precipitation as that rain continues to move in. Temperatures continue to warm a little bit, but we have had some accidents due to those wet roads. So I want to show you where the trouble spots are. We go first to the Peninsula. This is in Hampton, I-64 westbound near mile marker 262 or Hampton Road Center Parkway. That's off to the shoulder there, not really impacting traffic too much, but keep it slow as the roads are wet and slick. On the eastern shore, an accident between Melfa and Painter. This is on Route 13 southbound. All southbound lanes are still closed between, again, Route 180 and Keller Pond Road. So heads up there if you are traveling on the eastern shore. Now down to the south side, have some issues too. An earlier crash, I-64 westbound in Norfolk, mile marker 282. That is off to the shoulder, but we have about a mile backup, give or take, because of that earlier crash. Now, what else do we have going on? Well, the snow. For those of you who still have the snow, like our friends in Surrey, look how pretty that is. The roads are now fine, but gosh, the grass has a nice coating of snow. I'm sure the rain is going to kind of cut that away a little bit. But as of right now, this is near the Jamestown Scotland Ferry Terminal on Route 31 in Surrey. Certainly a pretty sight to see there. I know Gloucester still has some snow on the ground this morning too. Now, Craig mentioned Northern Virginia. This is Alexandria. Oh, I-95 in Alexandria. Man, the roads are completely covered. I know the plows have been doing a great job trying to keep up, but the visibility is down a bit as it's still snowing up there. So the roads not in very good shape there in Northern Virginia. So if you are traveling today, you might want to hold off because we've seen lots of accidents, tractor trailers, cars crashing, cars off to the sides of the road. We've seen lots of issues up there. So winter driving tips. I do want to talk about this. And after I do this, I'm going to show you what's going on more on the roads locally. So check your tires. You want to make sure first that you have adequate tire pressure and that you have a good grip on your tires so you're safe on the roadways. Now, next, remove ice and snow. So this is especially important if you are in those northern areas that still have a little bit of that snow. You don't want that to become a flying projectile. And then skidding, you want to avoid accelerating. And finally, don't brake too hard. If you do start to skid, be sure to turn into the direction of the skid and don't crowd the plows. Make sure that you give them a little bit of room. Okay, I want to show you what's going on with our VDOT maps, and I want you to pay attention to the colors. Where you see the purple on the roads here, like in Fredericksburg, that is showing severe weather issues on the road. So snow-covered roads, slush, ice, lots of problems. Where you see this blue color on the road, that's moderate problems, and as we get down toward the Hampton Roads area, in this lighter blue teal color, now that is where we have some minor problems on the roadway. So for us in our area, really we're looking at I-64 westbound just to the west of Toano. That's where we start to see some problems on I-64. If you are taking Route 5 or Route 10, once you get to the west of Williamsburg or you get to the west of Surrey, also to the west of Disputanta, if you're taking Route 460, that's where you will run into some problems. Now, I'm going to move this and kind of zoom out a little bit. If you are on the peninsula, aside from that, you're doing okay. Once you get from Yorktown and cross the Coleman Bridge into Gloucester, you could start to run into some issues on the roads on the middle peninsula. Everything there is in that teal color for some minor weather issues. And then you cross Route 3 heading up into the northern neck. And oh yeah, this is where they have some more snow on the ground up near Irvington, Kilmarnock, Reedville, those areas certainly having some trouble spots on the roadways. Now, the Eastern Shore, don't want to forget about you folks. Really, you have to go north of Exmoor to start having some issues, and Exmoor all the way up to Chincoteague, you're seeing some problems on the roadways due to that snow, slush, maybe still some icy spots here and there. But as Craig mentioned, things will continue to warm up, but then we're going to turn cold again and another chance maybe for a little bit of wraparound snow. So, Craig, I'm going to hand it back to you.
All right, Cheryl, thank you for that traffic update. Some great information there. We'll be hearing from Cheryl in just a little bit, so stay tuned for more on the traffic situation. We are seeing more rain than anything else now across the area, but you know the snow has been a greater impact, as Cheryl just showed you, across northern Virginia. And I want to take you up north of Stanton up towards Harrisonburg. And once you get up there into this area, we have been seeing some very heavy snow. The snow and freezing rain started earlier in western and northern parts of Virginia, and they've seen a lot more accumulation around the Shenandoah Valley. Let's check in with the ABC station in Harrisonburg to see how much the snow is stacking up there.
Well, here in the Shenandoah Valley, snow started falling just after 8 p.m. It didn't start to slow down until around 4 or 5 this morning, but then it turned to an icy mix, and that caused some sleet to cover the top of the softer snow. And so now it's kind of drizzling right now, but that's not expected to taper off until around 10 a.m. today. But then it's going to pick right back up around 2 p.m. and then that's going to just kind of keep going. We're not expecting much accumulation from the second round, though. But right now in Harrisonburg, we're averaging about 6 inches in the northern part of the valley. That can be all the way up to 10 inches or higher. So plenty of snow here in the Shenandoah Valley. Reporting in Harrisonburg, I'm Kayla Brown.
All right, so we take a look at what was going up in Harrisonburg, the snow there, and again, in central Virginia, it got started as well. It's starting to transition now in the Richmond area, and we're seeing that mix still lingering, but they had a lot of snow early. Things are really messy there at the Capitol, and Emily Yinger from our partner station has been out in Henrico County since before the sun came up. She shows us what the early morning impacts were like there.
We're out here in Henrico this morning where we've seen a winter storm sweep across parts of our area. This is what we're dealing with this morning. So we saw several inches of white fluffy snow fall from the sky overnight, and now we've been seeing a lot of sleet and freezing rain coming down. We were kind of dealing with an icy snow compacted mixture over here on the ground. That's also creating some icing going over the sidewalks and the roadways. We know VDOT has been pre-treating roadways since Friday night. They've been pre-treating the interstate, primary, secondary, and major roadways, and we've continued to see them out here all morning putting down that salt brine solution mixture, trying to really make sure that those roads are as safe as possible. But VDOT crews still urging people to not be out driving this morning. That really creates problems for them to do their job. They go about 35 miles per hour when they are putting down that salt solution on the roadways, and so they're also telling people, if you do happen to be out driving, make sure that you're staying away from them. We're going to continue to monitor the conditions out here in Henrico, across central Virginia, keep you updated with the latest. For now in Henrico, I'm Emily Yinger.
All right, I know a lot of parents here in Hampton Roads have young athletes, baseball players, softball players, and maybe you get up to Rehoboth Beach for some tournaments up there. I know we used to do a lot of travel baseball up at Rehoboth Beach, and you can see the snow's been coming down up that way. Let's take a live look up there right now. It is not baseball weather. This live stream coming from our ABC affiliate up in this area, up in Delaware. This is WMDT providing this live picture, and you can see snow at Rehoboth Beach. How about that? It's always fun to see snow at the beaches. If you are a snow lover, part of Team Snow, you know that is really, really exciting. Unfortunately, though, all of this snow, and I'm going to pull way wide here and let the maps here show you what's going on. This has been a big storm system impacting a large part of the country, and ABC has been working to pull together reports that have been spanning from the Midwest, parts of Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, all of these areas really getting hit with a lot of snow, and it's been a big, big problem as this system lumbers along. So, you know, the D.C. area and Baltimore areas are getting hit really, really hard, and as we go through the day, some of these areas not done yet. Again, it was the Midwest and the Mid-South that were also slammed. There were 63 million Americans that have been put on alert through this whole system, so a large part of the country. ABC's Andrew Dimbert has more from across the country.
This morning, the first major winter storm of the year is dumping historic amounts of snow and ice across multiple states. The snow reaching Richmond, Virginia overnight as the massive storm expands from the Central Plains to the Mid-Atlantic. Blizzard conditions could bring up to 15 inches of snow to parts of Kansas and Missouri. Trucks and vehicles crashing on Interstate 70 in eastern Illinois, sliding off the road in this pileup. More than 1,000 drivers stranded in Missouri yesterday alone, and at least one person was killed in a crash. Louisville, Kentucky, seeing just over 7 inches of snow, shattering the previous daily record set in 1910. And in Cincinnati, vehicles were stranded for more than 7 hours on Interstate 71 after a cluster of semi-trucks got stuck in the snow.
I just yelled down to one of the drivers who was standing there, who got out to basically stretch his legs, and I yelled at him and I said, "Hey, how long you been here?" He said 3 hours. That was an hour ago, and there's still been no movement.
And now, major cities in the east are bracing. Washington, D.C. could see up to a foot of snow, potentially the most in 9 years. Federal offices closed today. Philadelphia expecting 2 to 4 inches of snow. Public schools and government buildings also closed. The storm also brought damaging winds to the deep south, with tornado warnings yesterday in Arkansas, Louisiana, and Mississippi. Andrew Dimbert, ABC News, New York.
All right, let's take a look at where this thing is going next. What's happening here? All right, as we take a look at the eastern half of the country, I've put the winds on. This is up about 1,000 to 1,500 feet up in the atmosphere, so I don't have the surface winds, but I've gone up a little bit. Wanted to show you this warm southwest flow here. This is why we've seen that transition from the mix and snow that we saw last night to the chilly rain that we're dealing with now. Temperatures today are going to climb into the mid-40s, so it's not that bad during the day. But keep in mind, with this area of low pressure tracking along, eventually we're going to come around on the backside of this system, and this colder air wrapping around this high pressure getting pulled in to the mid-Atlantic region. That's going to drop temperatures and drop them significantly and pretty quickly as we head overnight and into early tomorrow morning. We're looking at temperatures tomorrow morning in the 20s, I think, low to mid 20s for some inland areas, and then upper 20s near the coast tomorrow morning. And I am worried about flash freezing later tonight. We'll see some snowbursts kind of wrapping around on the backside of this system, getting pulled in as this low tracks over. We'll see some of this wrapping back around. And then whatever is on the ground, as those temperatures fall quickly, we could see that flash freezing, and we could have some black ice to deal with tomorrow. And not just on the roads. You know, we always talk about roads, and I don't like to say, oh, it's going to be an icy road or this or that. We have VDOT. We have different groups that are working hard to treat the roads. So some of that stuff, if the roads are treated well and the temperatures don't get quite to a certain point, you know, that treatment does a really good job. The rain that we're going to get today will wash away a lot of that pre-treatment that was already dropped. So that may lose a little bit of its effectiveness. But what I want you to know is with temperatures getting down into the 20s, think about any surfaces that are wet, anywhere that you see standing water, or even if it looks a little damp, assume it is icy. That might be your front steps on your home. You might have maybe some brick steps that go down from your front door onto your sidewalk. If those are covered with ice and you go down those, we don't want you to slip and fall. So it's not just about roads which may or may not have sufficient treatment down on them. It's also about other things like decks, elevated surfaces, anything where air can get under it. Especially we see that freezing, and the freezing potential is real later tonight and again early tomorrow. So I just want our 13 News Now viewers to be very mindful of that and be prepared. All right, our temperatures are going to warm up, upper 30s to low 40s eventually as we go towards midday, mid 40s, so a little bit warmer there. It's at this point more or less a rain event. You're going, okay, this isn't so bad. Yes, it's wet, and there could be some heavier areas of rain as well in the mix. We'll take a look at some of the rainfall potential in a moment. But you'll notice as we go past 3 o'clock or so, parts of Hampton Roads start to dry out. Some showers, and this is an updated Futurecast, kind of holding a little bit of that moisture back a little bit farther to the west. But the drying trend should take place by late afternoon and into the evening. This is that opportunity you have to take care of any errands or do anything you have to do. If you have to get out and you don't want to deal, certainly don't want to deal with the mix that we've seen this morning, but if you don't want to deal with the rain, hang in there. We should get a little window at some point. Check our mobile apps, check our radar, come to us online. You'll be able to see exactly what's going on out there. And if you can, join Evan Stewart today at noon, and Tim Pandagis will be in this afternoon to cover you through this time period. Now, as we get into the evening, though, that wraparound moisture, you can see how it fills in from the northern parts of our area where temperatures are going to be falling into the low 30s, back into the mid 30s as this starts. But you get these snowbursts, and that snow drags down that colder air aloft. And even though we were in the 40s, watch these temperatures fall as we get into the evening. So here it is around 9 o'clock, temperatures projected with our graph Futurecast here, that model, the graph model, suggesting mid 30s, maybe mid to upper 30s right along the coast, a little bit of rain, snow mix, but bursts of snow with colder temperatures. Peninsula, Newport-News, Williamsburg, up to West Point, Richmond, Wakefield, Franklin, all these areas where we start to see the freezing, and then it gets even colder through the overnight. The snowburst should pull off and eventually clear the coast as we go towards midnight. There could be a few snow plumes or streams of snow coming off. This is bay effect, where the winds blow across the relatively warm bay water temperatures and, you know, picks up that low-level moisture. You get those areas where a little bit of moisture comes up off the bay, gets picked up by the super cold air, and then you get very much like lake effect snow, only we call it bay effect snow because it's cold air over the bay. So we could see a little bit of that early tomorrow morning, maybe a little more snow up on the eastern shore, but that too will wind down. Then we watch those temperatures. So anything that is left over from this evening's snowbursts or mix that we may see, or even some of the afternoon and morning, late morning to afternoon rain, if there is standing water out there, my concern is for black ice and for flash freezing. Temperatures mid to upper 20s widespread. That's at 6 a.m. By 7 a.m., low to mid 20s. You can imagine how surfaces would be icy. If there's anything that looks wet, assume it is ice tomorrow morning. So that's the case there. It will then move on. We'll see more sunshine, but it stays really cold. Now, snowfall amounts, this is the updated graph. You can see a little bit more far to the north. We're in pretty good shape, though, through the afternoon. What about the evening with those snowbursts? Well, look at this. This is a graph model. It is just a projection, okay? But you could see maybe another 1/10 of an inch around Virginia Beach, maybe 1/4 to a 1/2 inch. And one other thing I will pass along. This is very significant. When you see a map like this, you're going, oh my gosh, are we going to get a 1/2 inch of snow blanketing the ground in Norfolk? Well, we could see, say, 4/10 or maybe a 1/2 inch of snow, but a lot of this is going to melt on contact. So that doesn't mean that's what you're going to see covering the ground everywhere. It just means that's how much additional snow is going to fall. Maybe 3/4 of an inch up around Newport-News, a little bit more. Richmond, West Point, out to the west, we could see some of this a little bit more on the eastern shore. Any moisture that's left, though, that freezing takes place tomorrow, and that's the concern. Now, we do have more snow chances next weekend. I'll show you this very quickly as we take a look ahead. This is Saturday. Notice some more moisture coming in, maybe some snow transitioning to rain and then switching back over to snow before it exits. And another look at this with the European model this time. You can see a somewhat similar scenario where we get a little bit of snow sometime Saturday morning and then maybe transitioning to rain and ending. So it doesn't look like a real big deal, but if you are a snow lover, you may be in for a little bit more of a treat as we head into the weekend. Again, this afternoon, it's going to be chances for rain. It sounds like it's coming down on the studios here. Taylor Stephenson is still up on the peninsula driving around in the SUV, and she's got some more live information for us. Taylor, what's happening where you are right now?
Good morning, Craig. Right now, we are experiencing a very cold rain. And for me, I would prefer this to be snow. If we're going to be this cold, right? Temperatures in Williamsburg hovering right around freezing like we have been all morning. So here's your look outside from our weather SUV, and it shows that conditions on the roads are still fine. As Cheryl said earlier, we haven't seen any accidents this morning from our side of things, and people who are on the roads, they have been taking it very easy and have been very safe and cautious while driving. And that's exactly how you should navigate situations like these, especially as you head up places like I-64 towards Richmond, where they've had much more snow and much more ice than we have here in coastal Virginia. But if you look around the outskirts of the roads, you see that snow is still hanging on to the shrubs, the vegetation, the grass around the area. It's because those things cool down much more quickly to freezing or below than the road does, and that's why we can see accumulations more on those parts. But now a lot of that snow is starting to be washed away by this rain. Pretty moderate rainfall, very steady at this time, and we'll expect the cold rain to continue for us over the next few hours. Now, if you're going to be out and about today, one thing or a few things to know is, one, you need to bundle up. It is cold as you step out. I saw my breath this morning. It's cold enough to see, again, that very cold rain. But with that warm front coming in, temperatures will come back into the lower to middle 40s. Now, peninsulas, you may be at best in the upper 30s. So we will still have that cold rain. But tonight, like Craig was saying, that burst of some wet snow is possible as that system pulls offshore. And so we could see a few more snow flurries that could build up on the accumulations we've already seen. I know a lot of people on the peninsula have the day off today with the snow day in place. So if you are watching this stream and you're like, what do I do with myself? What do I do with the kids? The snow is packable. So maybe go outside, build a snowman, enjoy the fact that this has been almost 3 years since we've seen any measurable snowfall, especially in places like the south side. So if you want to have a little mini staycation, maybe come up to the peninsula, grab your friends, go to Hampton, Newport-News, Poquoson, and Williamsburg, there's enough snow to go around. Live here in Williamsburg, I'm meteorologist Taylor Stephenson. Craig, back to you.
All right, Taylor, thanks so much for your reports this morning. Now, I will mention the snow that fell this morning. With this transition to rain, it's going to be knocked down. It's going to be pretty slushy here. Even some of the areas that are snow covered, I expect a lot of that to melt and compact. This video that you're seeing right now sent to us by Judith, you can see she sent this in from Virginia Beach. Beautiful. We saw some from Eugene Daniel earlier. He was showing me some of the pictures, and it just looks really magical. If I can be a kid for just a second, I really got excited to see the snow in Norfolk early this morning, to see that coating on the ground. And I've been doing this since May of 1989. And I still get excited to see a little bit of snow. All right, let's take a look at what was going on. This is up on the peninsula, I believe. Where was this again? Newport-News, thank you. I'm talking to my producer there, Kyle. Thank you, sir. Snow coming down. You can see it's a heavier coating on those elevated surfaces, the cars, and adding up on the ground as well. Want to thank all of our viewers for sending that in. That was from Ruth. This picture from Lisa. And Lisa, again, one of our daybreakers, sending this in along with Jennifer. Really just cool pictures. A lot of folks getting out and enjoying the snow. And again, for an area that hasn't seen it for a long, long time, it was really, really cool to enjoy this. All right, let's take a look at the forecast. I want to come back to this, and we'll talk about what's happening here through the day. We do have this changeover to rain now. So again, I was hearing some at the studios. Ground's mainly wet. I'm going to talk to Cheryl Nelson in just a moment, but she was saying, you know, it's mostly rain at this point for the areas locally she was checking. So that's good news. And I got to say, Hampton Roads motorists this morning have done a great job. People weren't out there pressing it. A lot of folks staying at home. And it was a great call because some of those roads were pretty messy, especially to the north. So we reached the mid-40s today. Tonight, with that chance for some snowbursts during the evening, we're going to be watching for that. Again, Tim Pandages will have you covered through the evening. He'll let you know. And there could be some minor accumulations. I won't rule that out, that's for sure. But the big news is as we go through the overnight, whatever falls, and that wet weather or snowy weather clears the area, we're going to see temperatures rapidly falling through the morning, and we could see some freezing on surfaces, flash freezing or black ice possible tomorrow morning. Temperatures into the upper 30s tomorrow, so you'll notice clearing with blustery conditions, and this is as important a line as anything you're going to see here with this forecast. Black ice, that would be the number one thing that we're going to be watching for. But look at these winds. Northwest, 15 to 20, gusting to 30. That is not damaging, obviously. But when you have northwest winds 15 to 20 miles per hour with gusts to 30, and your temperatures are in the 20s and 30s, this is what it's going to feel like. You're going to see feels like temperatures in the teens through the morning hours. So I'll be back in on daybreak tomorrow morning covering a bitterly blustery cold morning. And then as we go through noon, even though it tries to warm a little bit, it's still going to feel like it's in the mid-20s and upper 20s through the afternoon. Obviously, very, very cold conditions here. I think we have a couple of live pictures we can show you outside across Hampton Roads right now. I do want to check some of our sky views, and Priority Automotive's been a great sponsor of our live sky views. And as we take a look across the region, it's been mostly wet. You can see one of our Priority Automotive sky views coming from Newport-News. That's Oyster Point. You can see some snow on the ground up there. Again, largely transitioning to rain at this point. We'll take a look at another one if we can. That's the eastern shore around Wachapreague. You can see that right now. Just kind of a soggy situation. I showed you up at Rehoboth. As you go farther north up the shore into Delaware, it's snow, but we're starting to see more and more rain occurring at this point. We can go live to D.C. You know, they've been dealing with the snow, and it is a snowy capital. The U.S. Capitol covered in snow. Beautiful up there, but nothing to play with. And Cheryl Nelson again here with me. Cheryl, you were looking at that snow up in northern Virginia. Folks up there, different story. They were having some problems.
And there were a lot of folks on the road up there. I was surprised to see that, too.
Yeah, folks still trying to venture out. Right. You saw we had, there's a jackknife truck, and there were some cars that were kind of sliding in with
I-95 up there around Alexandria. That was earlier. Yeah, lots of issues there, really, from Richmond to Fredericksburg, points north up into D.C. Lots of problems. So
you
around here.
You were pointing out, though, you were pretty impressed with the motorists here in Hampton Roads. I mean, we really didn't have we were like bracing when we were starting the show. It's like, all right, what's happening?
There were a few crashes, but I think it was just probably from hydroplaning from the rain.
Yeah.
I mean, we always see that when it rains, unfortunately, a few here or there, but really where the weather was, so out in Surrey County, Middle Peninsula, towards Williamsburg, Northern Neck, Eastern Shore, we didn't see a ton of crashes, so that's always good.
I think volume was lighter, too. You know, one of the things since the pandemic, folks found out that they can work from home if they need to, and I think a lot of folks may be just saying, you know what, I think I'll work remote today.
Very smart.
And it's a good call. Yeah,
we
like that.
Probably in their PJs with their coffee, and we're super jealous.
And for those for those folks that, you know, were putting off the start times until 10 o'clock, there were a lot of businesses and I guess some of the schools, some of the different things were delaying starts. You could see as we are approaching 10 o'clock how the transition has occurred to rain. Even the areas up towards Richmond and along I-95, we're seeing more of the rain as the temperatures are warming. So this system has really come together really well as the forecast models had suggested. I've been extremely pleased with the performance of our forecast guidance. I want to let you know our coverage will continue through the day, and we're going to have more updates for you online and through our digital platforms. A great way to stay in touch is to point your phone. If you haven't already done this, download the 13 News Now app. You just scan that QR code. It's a free download, and there's so much great information. We'd also love to get more pictures from you if possible. We've had some great what we call UC or UGC, that's user-generated content, as we say in the biz. And my point is, you guys help us tell the story. What you guys are able to capture with your phones and your reports from out there, call it boots on the ground, it really, really helps tell the story. So you can text your photos with your name and your city to 757-628-6200. This is some of the user-generated content that we got overnight, and we absolutely love it. I do want to stress, and this is the dad in me now, Cheryl, coming out, you need to make sure whenever you take any weather pics or weather video, you do it only at a time when it's safe for you to do it. We don't want anybody getting hurt, slipping or falling, trying to get a picture. No. The picture's not worth it. You guys need to take care of yourselves. Be careful out there. One other thing, Cheryl, you had some awesome motorist tips as far as make sure, you know, you've got good windshield wipers and you want to make sure that, you know, your car's ready to go. All that stuff, air pressure in the tires.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Don't crowd the plows. Yeah, you have to make sure that your tires have the right tire pressure in it. That's super important. Have a snow brush or an ice scraper. You might need that ice scraper tomorrow morning.
That was the thing that I really wanted to drive home, even if you just have rain right now. All right, this is, I'm speaking to myself. This is coming out of this mouth and going right into this ear. Find your ice scraper because tomorrow morning, even though you're just dealing with wet conditions, you may have a little bit of ice, even a thin coat. You'll be glad that you've got that ice scraper. All right, so just know that could happen. You see this blank screen? This is a 7-day forecast. Let's take a look. Here it is. All right.
You're such a tease.
Oh, 46 today for a high. We're going to drop down into the 20s tomorrow morning. Again, Cheryl, we were talking about those wind chills or feels like temperatures. Teens tomorrow morning.
No, thank you.
I'm going to put her on the spot. Are you going to come back tomorrow morning?
I don't know. I guess if you guys want me to come back, it all depends.
Cheryl come back.
Oh,
no,
boy,
she's helped out so much. And Marta Berglund, our new traffic reporter, is going to be on as well. So Cheryl's going to be help guiding Marta through all of this. And we're going to get things going with our Daybreak team. Early tomorrow morning, I think we'll be on again at 4 a.m.
Oh, boy.
But anyway, get ready for early coverage just in case there's any flash freezing. Look at how cold it stays through the week. Are you ready for this?
No. Take me back to a beach in Florida somewhere. I want a little bit of snow, and then I just want to go to the beach. I don't need this to stick around.
I always think it's great right up through the holidays. After the first of the year, I'm ready for spring again. But I will tell you, I got excited to see this snow.
I did too. I love a good snowfall.
It's fun. Well, listen, we've got another chance for a little mix or snow on Saturday, and then you can see temperatures in the low 40s for this weekend. So want to thank everybody. Let's take this full, and I'm just going to give a quick mention here, okay? If you'd like to follow me or contact me through social media, you can find me on Facebook, Craig Moeller. You can find me on Instagram, Craig Moeller TV, and on X, formerly Twitter there, you can find me at 13 Craig Moeller as well.